Welcome into Trust the Process Live. It is. I'm not even gonna bother. I'm James Hyden. Josh, what's up, man? Max, how we doing? Let's get right into this,
Let's
boys.
do it.
It's time to talk. The deadline has come and gone, and unless there's one of those ones that's been in the tuck, that's been backdated, like all those checks that we always get from work, the Phillies are done moving. They acquired, Noah Syndergaard and Brandon Marsh from the Angels in separate deals, as well as David. I can't even say it. I can't even say it without laughing, dude. Like that's as well as David Robertson from the Cubs. So let's do this deal by deal analysis and your final trade deadline. Ooh, okay. Trade deadline grade. All right. So deal by deal, everybody gets a grade and then one overall grade. I want to come to Max first because I know Josh has it in the tuck and I want to make him wait a little bit longer. Max, you know what? Let's go deal by deal. Screw it. Josh, I don't want to do that to you. We're going to go deal by deal. We'll start with the Robertson one. Okay. So your grade for Ben Brown to the Chicago Cubs for David Robertson.
See, I think I got to say this. I don't think I'm the guy to come to first for this because I don't know the quality of these prospects like you two do.
That's
fine. You don't need to.
I'll say this: as hearing the name David Robertson back in a Phillies uniform, that gives me a little trepidation.
Yep.
But from all accounts, it seems like he's righted the ship to some extent. Look, what I watched him do in the Phillies uniform, I don't know if I can ever really fully scrub that, but clearly something has changed if you're willing to go out and trade for that guy. That was not a guy who would get you anything in the past, right? Like clearly he's done something in the 2-3 years since he's been here. So if they think that's the best move for what we gave up, I'll let you guys decide if that was too much or too little or just right. I'm going to assume it's probably too much given our disdain for this guy as on a personal level, or not a personal level, on like what's the word for, like the fan level, right? Like nothing personal against them, but you sucked for my team, so I don't want you back. So I'll leave the grades to you guys. My uneducated fan opinion is they always need bullpen help, right? Like we always talk about, like that's been the mantra for years. They went out and got a bullpen arm and we're complaining about it, which is a bit ironic to me.
Josh, your grade for the David Robertson to the Phillies for Ben Brown trade.
All right. So first of all, my grade would probably be a C. Just straight up. But I do think a lot of that is what you're saying, Max, where like I can't help myself. When the Phillies got David Robertson today, the last thing I looked at was his 2.32 ERA or whatever he actually has this season.
That's
because
pretty good.
It's pretty damn good. But I guess what I'm saying is that's the last thing I looked at when this trade happened. Because Max, like you said, when we got David Robertson today, the first thing I'm thinking about is like, are you kidding me? Like, that guy who stole $6 million or was it even more?
Way
yeah,
more.
it was more than that. That was a low ball.
It was weird because he just fell off the cliff when he came here. He's like a classic case of he did it both ways. He was good before he came here, and then that played into it. But
he pitched one game, right? He blew the save in the one game he pitched.
He pitched a total of 6 games, 6 appearances for the Philadelphia Phillies.
None of them, I want to say none of them successful. Maybe one of the 6 were successful. He was pretty bad, and then he never played another game for this team. And the thing that kind of makes me nervous, right? Because if it was 2.32 ERA, I'd be like, you know what? Welcome him back. Maybe it'll happen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't he play his way back into the MLB through the Olympics?
Robertson?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, he's always been a big name. The only thing is just like, so I'll give it right here. It's a begrudging B+ for me because while I really like Ben Brown, I really like Ben Brown. He was breaking through in 2019, a high octane fastball with killer breaking balls. But at the end of the day, prospects are theoretical, and David Robertson has been before he got hurt and has returned to form as a top bullpen arm in the game. So I mean, we added to a position of strength, which is we were looking at the Phillies roster beforehand. Josh and I were. The Phillies bullpen is actually really, really good numbers, boys. So adding to a position of strength is never a bad thing. I think it's really funny because it's begrudging to me because in all intents and purposes, David Robertson owes this club money. Like
you better be playing for free.
Yeah, like it's realistically he should be paying the Philadelphia Phillies for kind of what happened. But it's funny to look back at that time period in the Phillies because him and Sir Anthony Dominguez took a very similar path in both getting hurt, both needing Tommy John surgery, but both getting terrible opinions by the former Philadelphia medical staff, and then listening to they ended up going to like Dr. James Andrews, and he was like, yo, bro, you should probably get Tommy John surgery, both of them. And then they went and got like third and fourth opinions until they found a doctor that would told them, no, you could probably just rehab it for like a lot longer. And both of them tried that, and they both ended up needing Tommy John surgery, but have both returned to form since actually getting the surgery. So, I mean, to me, if he follows the same path as Dominguez, that's two very. And I was always a fan of Robertson before we got him with the Yankees. He was lights out.
Me too.
So it's a begrudging B plus because me personally, I'm taking the route of 4 arms in the minor leagues with upside is better than 3. So I'm kind of upset by that, but whatever. So, Josh,
to bring it back, I confirmed I was correct about the Olympics thing. So after all of that, he was teamless, got a silver medal in the Tokyo Olympics, and then he made his way back into the MLB. So like me being the guy who I am, I eat that type of story up. But this guy's what, 37 or 38 years old, and that's why I'm giving it a C right now, because I'm kind of past getting hung up on prospects. Like they just tend to not pan out. I'll trade them. It's okay. So I really feel like Robertson is right on that middle, and it could teeter one way of this guy's a bum. It was lightning in a bottle. He was able to get 1 season of his arm left, or he's back. And that 2.23 ERA is not a flash in the pan, and he can be the guy who tipped the needle for Banners and Max. The reasons you're saying you can never have too many bullpen arms with this team. Earlier today, though, when this was the only move and we didn't get wind of Syndergaard yet, I was livid. So I would have given this a D probably an hour ago. But where we sit now, I bump it up to a C, and I'll wait and see on this.
All right. I like that. So what we got, Max deferred, a C, and a B plus.
So real quick, before we go to the next move, I was thinking about this as we were starting. Do we want to act like it was one move? Because like, why did they do it? Why did they do 2 different moves with the same team? You get what I'm saying?
Because if you would have included Syndergaard in the Marsh deal, the Angels would have paid less of the money to get back a better return.
Explain it to me like I'm 4.
So
explain it to me just like I'm 28, please.
So the Thor's Syndergaard's remaining salary is a lot since he signed a 1 year.
Yeah.
I forget how much money he signed
21,
for, but he has
22.
Yeah, so he has about like $8.5 million remaining. I'm
right.
a little, might be like 7.5, maybe
Close
8.
enough.
He still has that. The Phillies agreed to take on the rest of his remaining contract, so they didn't have to give up more. So if they included Syndergaard in the Marsh deal, the Angels would have paid more of Thor's deal, so they wouldn't have been. They would have been paying more money, so they would have gotten more in return. So Dombrowski actually pretty savvily broke the deal up, took all of Thor's money, gave pretty much nothing back in return, took the pitcher, and Marsh was a separate deal.
Man. Baseball, man. So fun. So funny.
It's interesting. I mean, because Marsh is he's controllable for another 3+ arbitration years. So, I mean, that's pretty good. So then, all right, let's go Marsh deal. All right. Let's go Brandon Marsh. Max, let's come to you. We'll go back around the table. Brandon Marsh for, God, I'm getting all the deals mixed up.
Logan O'Hoppe.
Yes. Straight up for Logan O'Hoppe. So what do you think?
I will say this. I don't know anything about Logan Marsh. Looking forward to watching him play in a Phillies jersey.
Great start.
What I will say is that I know Logan O'Hoppe kind of became expendable. I got a friend of mine, maybe you're looking at him on the screen right now. I'll let you take all the shine on terms of names, but I've heard that we've picked up a pretty enticing catcher prospect in an international draft. I couldn't explain how that happened, so I'll leave that for the person who told me to explain it. But from my understanding, the piece that we traded has become expendable recently and hasn't really had a chance to get it to the major league level anyway because of a certain unvaccinated catcher on the team. So I always call it like it is, boys. I don't know shit about the guy we got, but I know that what we're losing wasn't going to touch the major league field at least in the next 2 years. So in my eyes, as a casual fan, that can't really be a bad deal.
It's a good point, Max.
So, Josh, Brandon Marsh for Logan O'Hoppe. What's up?
All right. So, let's focus.
Did I say Logan Marsh? Sorry.
Yeah, you did. It was
they're the same person at this point.
It was, I mean, honestly, Max, it was perfect for your whole brand and your whole spiel about like, listen, I don't know exactly what's going on.
I call it how I see it in baseball. It's just,
How about just from an economic standpoint, gentlemen? You have a surplus at one position and a scarcity at another. So Dave Dombrowski did it as simple as he could. He goes, "Hey, we got a few good catchers. You got some center fielders like a Mike Trout guy too. Why don't we take this guy for you?" Here's the bottom line, though. I'll give it a B, but it's like a very sexy B. Like, I mean, an unsexy B. I meant like as in like.
I disagree. This guy's young, right?
Oh yeah.
But what I'm saying is, it's like you got to be on a pop quiz, not on the final exam. You know what I mean? Like this is the 10-point pop quiz, not the end of the year exam here. And it's a good move. I got no problem. Like, I think it's a good move. But let's not go crazy about Brandon Marsh, right? I was doing some research. He was a good prospect. In a 20-80 scale, this guy, they have him as a 50-55 hitter. Like, he's going to be a 240, 250 hitter. He's going to be a mediocre hitter who can run and catch balls in center field. So while I think that's a good trade for giving up Logan O'Hoppe, who I was not going crazy over, it's not like, this is not the banner move of the trade deadline. We should be happy with it. Like, it's a nice little piece, but I don't know. I'm not going crazy over it.
Can I throw a counterpoint at you?
You got to say here.
Can I throw a counterpoint at you?
Sure.
2 words or 3 words. Odubel Herrera DFA'd.
All right.
I'm just saying.
It doesn't drive me. It doesn't do what it does for you guys.
They got rid of Veerling. Like, they need a center fielder that can play defense, right? Like, they need a center fielder in general.
Wait. We didn't get rid of Veerling, did we?
Nope.
Okay. Who did they trade? I'm sorry. I thought I saw.
We traded Moniak.
Okay, that's what I'm thinking of. Excuse me.
Yep.
I mean,
we'll get to him.
Yeah, I know we will. My bad. That's on me. Fraudulent slip right there. But in general, my point is that we are thin at center field. Like, Odubel is he's a liability when we have to play in most games. It seems like I said, casual fan here. Do you guys not kind of get nervous when he's in center field and the ball is going that way? Like, I have no faith in him personally. Like, I always feel a little just like, I'm like, oh boy, please let him get through this inning clean and rinse and repeat every inning. So having another option in center field to me is like anything is a good start.
Yeah, the team got smarter. You can say that much.
Perfect.
So
thank you.
Josh, I like your comment about the pop quiz. Like,
yeah.
It's you did well on a pop quiz, but let me reframe it to you this way. This is the pop quiz that saved your semester.
Yeah.
This is the pop quiz that turned your D+ into a C-. So you passed for the year and you skate by. So this is credits.
I'm with it.
One, the news that you got rid of Familia and Odubel on the same day is a boon to this franchise. That is fantastic. Brandon Marsh, it's tough, dude. It's really weird. The pressure in Anaheim is so much weirder than the pressure in Philadelphia, because he was asked in Anaheim to, as a 1.5 year player, like he hasn't even been in the league for 2 years, to be the 3rd/4th guy in a lineup behind Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout since Anthony Rendon has been hurt forever. That's a lot of pressure on a kid that's real young. Plus, you're trying to make the playoffs and not waste another year of these guys' primes. So it's a really weird kind of pressure out there from very casual baseball fans that don't really understand. He's already given some good interviews about being traded. So if you want to go listen to your new center fielder, because he'll play every day, go look that up. A lot of rave reviews from Angels fans that he's just a good kid. You're going to like him. But in 13 games when he plays center field, he slugged over 400. He hit 286, playing very, very good defense, and he's already 1 WAR better than Matt Veerling. So this is a sneaky good trade for the Phillies. That's going to push you over the top. Plus, if you can get this kid with Kevin Long, and he can turn this kid into a 260, 270 hitter who is with doubles power, that's a great trade. That's a fantastic trade for you. Looking up in a couple of years, like I said, 3+ years of arbitration control ability for a kid who was the number 53 overall prospect just last year. That's pretty good. No?
Yeah. Especially when it's a 1-to-1. I do like the move. Here's my question to you, Banners and Max. Lineup comes out. Who would you rather see, Matt Veerling or Brandon Marsh?
Marsh.
I'd rather see Veerling. No. Dude, Veerling's just hitting right now, man.
That's fine. He can play everywhere.
He can play everywhere. That's true. But listen, what's Marsh hitting? 224? I think he's hitting like 224 this season. And small sample size, right? Small career. To me, Marsh is like, I would rather go with Vierling than Marsh day to day. They'll probably end up playing just about the same. It's just, I don't know. Maybe I got a little too suckered into the Matt Vierling train right now.
I think you did. Because, I mean, let's frame it to you this way. We were all out on Matt Vierling when he started off the season hitting like 063, right? So
hard to be in on a guy like that.
A little bit of time, if you were ever in on really Vierling before this. But a little bit of time with the new Philadelphia's hitting staff, including Preston Mattingly and Kevin Long. And now, they've changed your outlook on Matt Vierling. So why can't the same be true for Logan Marsh?
How about this? I will root. Yeah.
Max.
I will root for Matt Vierling, but we'll keep the open mind for Brandon Marsh. Logan Marsh.
He's going to be your starter. He's going to play every day. So, like, you're going to have to.
But I want Matt Vierling. I want Mr. Carshield.
Well, Mac,
what if Brandon gets a CarShield commercial? Is that the great equalizer?
Now, if he gets a CarShield ad, I'll eat my words. But for now, only one center fielder has a CarShield ad.
Oh my goodness! What grades did we get from there? I gave it a B plus. Josh, where'd you go?
I gave it a B on a 10-point pop quiz.
I'm gonna give it an A minus from the casual fans' point of view.
I love that. That's good. I'll take that.
From your friend's uncle that you run into at a random barbecue, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, thank God I got rid of that Double."
So what I will say is,
I'm giving an A minus for that guy.
This trade could look very bad in about a year and a half, depending on the Philadelphia's money situation, because I'm a big proponent of getting rid of JT's money for the Trey Turner sweepstakes this offseason.
Big time.
And the JT's contract would be the main salary dump for that for me.
I still hold out hope, man. You can get catchers for a dime a dozen. I like Stubbs. Let's not forget about Marchand and the international catcher.
People like to say that, but when you look at successful teams, the catcher is a very key part of that team.
Well, then JT, never mind. I'll shut up. He's been good these last 2 weeks. I'll bite my tongue.
So let's look at this. Let's look at this. A lot of the teams in the past couple of years, you see how many times Sonny Leon and Christian Vasquez have bounced around because they have so much playoff experience to different playoff teams. Like that's a big deal. So that's just me looking down the line, but a cheap, affordable option for JT and O'Hoppe, but whatever. We'll get to the big one, the Noah Syndergaard for Mickey Moniak and Yadiel Sanchez. I'll leave it at that. Max, what do you think?
I know who one of the two players we gave up is. That's what I think. So, and I definitely know who the guy we got is. To me, that seems like a pretty good deal. So I'm going to leave it to you guys at that.
Josh, what are you saying?
And Banners, I'm really curious on how you think about this one, because Thor is one of those classic guys where it's like you got a track record of being an absolute stud, and he's just underperforming this season. And I got to lean to
the Angels, man. They're so sorry. Let me just interject to this.
Go ahead.
My take as with my limited baseball knowledge, the Angels are just so wildly dysfunctional. They have like maybe the two best players in the league, like in the whole MLB, right? Like two of the best 3 or 5, right at worst.
Absolutely.
And they're just a dumpster fire every single year. Mike Trout hasn't even been hurt this year, right? Or limited.
He just did. He just did.
He just got hurt.
He's been hurt for a while.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. That kind of goes out the window. But my point is, I know they were still underachieving when he was playing every day. They were still under 500 and near the cellar of their division.
We ruined their season. We put the final Bryson Stott's home run, put the nail in their season's coffin.
The Bryce Harper grand slam off Iglesias.
Yep.
Yeah, I know we don't talk betting like this. I'll close the Angels stink argument like this. If you bet against out of every team in the MLB, if you bet $100 against them every single night on the other team's money line, betting against the Angels would make you the most profitable so far this season.
That's all. That's a great stat.
That's a great stat.
My goofy ass bet on the Angels against Spencer Howard last week, and I paid the price dearly. Which, by the way, real quick one: Jordan Lyles against Spencer Howard tonight, fellas, over 8.5. Back on track here to the Phillies.
All right.
Noah Syndergaard deal. I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to be, I'm giving it an A. I am going to give this deal an A, and part of it is because they got Brandon Marsh earlier today. Like, knocking on, hopefully, wood, but it'd be hard to believe that Mickey Moniak ends up having a better career than Brandon Marsh. Like, you pretty much gave up nothing for Noah Syndergaard. It's just John Middleton's eating the $8 million. You replace Moniak. I don't really know who that other guy was. When I saw on Twitter, I think the tweet said Moniak and Sanchez. So I kind of assumed it was Christopher Sanchez. I'm not really familiar with this other Sanchez. So I will take Thor for giving up, in my mind, not that much. We love Mickey Moniak. Why not Mick? But we saw time and time again why it was not Mick. So
preseason Hall of Famer officially, officially as his Philadelphia tenure ends here today. I think we can agree that Mickey Moniak is probably a first ballot Philadelphia preseason Hall of Famer.
There's no doubt about that one, and it does hurt like mentally, but when it's time to face facts, that's a good deal. And now it's all up to Thor, man. I'm gonna go ahead and choose to believe that he can get back to what he's become. There's some weird air over there in Anaheim. Let's see what Thor does in the rest of the season, because this is a guy like I can't take credit for it. Someone else tweeted this out earlier, but it's very reminiscent of the Nationals formula when they won the World Series. You get 3 really good starters, some bullpen help, and a top-heavy lineup. You could mess things up in the playoffs for a bunch of teams. So I'm all in on this Thor move.
Yeah, it's also reminiscent of what the Braves did last year, without some of the younger guys. I'm going to give it an A-. I like it, mainly because I'm not sure how you got anybody to take value on Moniak anymore. That's incredible. Yadiel Sanchez, he's 21 kid, 21-year-old outfielder, with some promise, but like top 20 prospect. Like it's not. I'm not losing any sleep over it. Syndergaard
it doesn't even seem like he was like a real jewel, right?
He was like the 20. He was in the 20s for the organizational prospect.
For the organization, list.
That's organization awful prospects.
Yeah, I mean the Angels might be high on him for something that they see. It's like a tool that they like.
He'll be over by the time he's in the bigs.
Yep. Yeah, I'd go ahead and take him. Syndergaard's really shown me that he's become a pitcher instead of a thrower. He used to be a thrower.
I like that banners. That's good.
I don't like that though. I don't like that.
What do you mean? That means he's smart. That means he knows his stuff now.
Yeah, but
he's still throwing 90. He's still throwing 93, 90 to 95.
He's not just relying on overpowering everyone like he's been used to his whole life. That's how I take it.
But I guess what I'm saying is if he's changed something he's doing and he's getting worse results now, why don't you go back to what you used to be doing?
Well, because
is he getting the Aaron Nola treatment from the shitty Angels where he's pitching well and he has,
No, he's not pitching well right now. That's the problem.
He's a 3.83 ERA. That's
respectable.
That's a 3 starter. That's like and he's lowered that over the past 2 starts. Like he's pitching decently well. Like this is a guy who he's leading the league. If not, he's in the top 3 of the control numbers. So there's a bunch of advanced metrics in terms of how you control your stuff and
makes me feel amazing about this
your results for he's pretty much painting this year, which is like I'll take that at 95 over 3 walks at 99. You know what I mean? Like it's
I hear you.
That's fantastic. So if you're able to get value out of Moniak and turn it into Thor,
best of luck to them both.
Yeah, we're already over the tax, so go ahead and pay the $8 million that he's required.
Can I jump in with 2? Go ahead, Josh. You have breaking news. It seems like.
No, because I was curious when we were talking about ERA. Ranger Suarez has a better ERA this season than Noah Syndergaard. Just gonna float that out there a little bit.
Why are you giving it an A and then trying to talk bad about it?
I'm not. That's just me playing devil's advocate because I just want to. I like Noah Syndergaard. He's got a career like 3 ERA. I'm just saying this season. Yeah.
I mean, if he has a career 3 ERA and he's at 3.84 this season, that means he's having a marginally worse season than average.
And it's got to come back down to the mean.
And he's been making a lot of assumptions, like based on past seasons for guys like Syndergaard and Robertson, but this is their first healthy season in 2 years for both of them. You know what I mean? So it's like, why are we making these? Oh, he's having a marginally bad season. You know what I mean? Like this is his first season back from major.
I'm not trying to bash it. I'm just saying, like, if his career average is around 3 and he's at 3.83, like I don't know. That doesn't really raise the alarms for me. Personally.
No, that's a number 3 starter right there. Who pitched in the World Series for the Mets, by the way?
That's exactly what I was about to say. I think maybe the biggest part about Syndergaard is he's pitched in some intense games. He's pitched well in some intense playoff games. And the third thing is, I'm not going to pretend to like be his best friend, but I feel like we've got a very dull kind of almost like a mean starting pitching room. And like he gives some good vibes for me. I don't know his vaccination status or anything like that, but I'm a little bit tired of some of these starting pitchers. Like, as much as I like them on the field as a guy, I can certainly sign up for Noah Syndergaard.
Can I say one thing before we move on?
Yeah.
All season, what have we always said about the Phillies starting pitching staff? That they're one good starting pitcher away from having a really, really respectable playoff rotation. I like the sound of Wheeler, Nola, Syndergaard in a best of 5 or best of 7 series. I really do.
And what about 60 days? So what about
Eflin?
Eflin coming out of the pen in the playoffs?
No, I'm over him. I'm over Eflin. I
could see it, but
yeah, but like as like Eflin instead of like never mind. We're too high on the Phil's bullpen right now.
No, there's literally no spot.
Yeah,
for him.
you're right.
He would only take Bailey Falter's spot in the bullpen. But what I think for the postseason is you move Suarez to the pen and take Falter's role and make him an assassin out of the pen.
Yep, run a 4-man rotation. We'll get there when we get there, fellas.
I would even run I would run a 3-man rotation in the playoffs, in all honesty, and let Suarez mop up.
3-man and like an opener. All right, whatever. We're
gonna jinx it. I don't want to do that. No bad.
I'm getting excited, man. I'm getting excited.
So overall deadline grade, I'm gonna go ahead and give this. I'm going to give it a solid A. I can't give it an A+. I'm going to give it a solid A because let's not forget that those 3 aren't the only moves. Edmund Sosa, I think I was a little bit down on the trade initially. I think he's a fantastic defensive shortstop. He is an amazing defender. People think there's a lot left in the bat that has yet to be found out in the majors. So I'll wait to see on that. I think he takes over. I don't think Yairo Munoz is long for this roster. But there's also the addition of Sam Coonrod, who is rehabbing in the minors right now, who is going to be an addition coming up in the coming weeks. There's going to be Gene Segura, who you get back on Thursday. And then the news today coming out from Harper's camp is that 2 weeks, hopefully 3 weeks on the long end for his return to the Phillies lineup. So when you add Sam Coonrod, Gene Segura, Bryce Harper, Noah Syndergaard, David Robertson, and Brandon Marsh all together,
making it sound real good.
That's a pretty good deadline when Dave Dombrowski had the balls to stand pat and not trade Alec Boehm, who's rewarding him. That's pretty damn good, boys.
And you gave up Ohapi and Moniak, pretty much. Which
Ben Brown too.
That's
for Ben Brown, Yadiel Sanchez, and Ohapi, that's pretty damn good. So I'm going to go an emphatic A here. Max, what do you think?
I will give it. I'll say this, Banners. You kind of talked to me. I was going to go A- because I didn't really like that trade for that shortstop that they got. I understand that he is from everything that I was able to gather, seems like he's a pretty stout defensive option. I don't really think the Phillies needed another defensive-minded infielder, though, personally. If he has potential, if he's already that elite of a defender, you always can take a swing on a guy like that. So I think you swayed me just back far enough to go with a solid A. I'll leave it at this. Dave Dombrowski and everyone else involved with these decisions, they've made it clear all year that they expect this to be a playoff year, and they delivered at the deadline, and they did it. They did it in a pretty cunning fashion. Like you guys said, we didn't really give up too much. We gave up 2 unknowns and a guy who barely, got over 160 in his limited stint in the majors. So I don't know how you could be anything but disappointed with this. And, if the worst should happen and the Phillies, don't make the P words for some reason, I think they will. I think they will somewhere. I'm not going to say because I don't want to jinx it too hard. But if somehow the Phillies don't make it, you can't take your shot at the front office this year. They did everything they could at the deadline, and I think that's a promising sign moving forward.
Josh, your overall grade for this trade deadline from the Philadelphia Phillies?
I'd give it an A-. It would be an A if the Syndergaard deal was the first one this morning. That's the only reason it's not an A, is because I was so angry for a good portion of the day. And then right before we got on here, Syndergaard did the deal. You guys pretty much covered it all. I'd say the one little element that kind of makes this sweeter is you look around at the competition, right? You can say the NL East is pretty much cooked for this season. So, let the Mets get Darren Ruff for some prospects. Let the Braves get some bullpen arms, and they're pretty comfortable there. And then you look around at the Cardinals. Cardinals gave up Bader for Montgomery, which I love that for like as a Phillies fan. I'm high on Bader, low on Montgomery. So the fact that they did that, and they got Jose Quintana, I'm pretty sure, who we just saw, and then they didn't get Soto, which I think might have been the biggest win for the Phillies. Is that no NL East team got Soto, no team they're really directly competing.
We are competing with the Padres directly for wild card
they're
spots.
They're really not, man. The Padres have got. I think it's all.
I guess the Padres, you pretty much had to account for them being in wild. It's not like they're. Yeah, I guess.
And I think another big thing is the way that this year's playoff format works. Is that the Phillies, if the season ended today, and going off this assumption where I feel like playoff spots 1 through 5 feel pretty locked up. The Phillies would be playing the Brewers, who traded away Josh Hader this trade deadline. So all in all, very successful trade deadline for the Phillies, which I don't know. I was feeling pretty apprehensive going into today, and I don't think I felt great. I mean, when's the last time we felt good about a Phillies trade deadline? What was it last year? Like, I don't even remember.
Gibson and Kennedy.
Which they didn't do anything last year.
Pretty good about. I felt pretty good about Gibson. As my dad weighs in here. As long as you're better than the Cards, that's all that matters, man. Father-son connection, just made the same point right there. But what was I saying, though? It's no Vargas trade deadline. And I'm so used to the Vargas smiley. You know, these last 5 years, I've been mired in that. It's good to be on a winning side and make a little bit of a splash.
Think about how good that we would have felt if we would have gotten like Tyler Mahle as well. No, I still think this is a strong A.
I would have rather had you would have had to have given away one of the big guns in the system to get Mahle. I'd rather stick with them.
I agree. All right, let's do this. We're going over to training camp because first week is almost wrapped up from Eagles training camp. So I want to ask you guys this: what's one thing that you guys look for? What's your biggest focus when you look at Eagles training camp? Because a lot of people, there's this whole friggin' debate on Twitter right now about do training camp stats actually matter? I'm not going to go into who put that out there or why or what people are saying. So Josh, what do you personally focus on when you're looking at a training camp from these Philadelphia Eagles year to year?
Yeah, I mean, look, training camp is everything and it's nothing all at once. It's very similar to spring training in baseball, right? You can take what you want and then throw away what you don't want. So I think a very good year-to-year thing is rookies. And not that it's going to show everything about them, but it will give you a good indication of how well they're adjusting to the NFL. Wasn't it Andre Dillard who cried in the first week of training camp, like tried to start a fight and cried, and we saw how that worked out, you know? So you're seeing guys like Nakobe Dean right now. And I think he took his first team reps today, but more or less the consensus is to tie back to our last show, Max, when you're talking about linebackers, the consensus is he's probably not going to be starting weeks 1 through 4 or anything like that. But then you look at the other rookie, Jordan Davis, and you start hearing about how Jordan Davis is actually the freak of nature that he was, built out to be at Georgia. So, look, I don't have a ton to say because, like I said, it's training camp, and I'm not going to, go all in on this. But I do think rookies is a very interesting to look at, and Jordan Davis is a guy who I was a little bit when they drafted him. Now I'm starting to look forward to Jordan Davis. And then I started thinking about guys like Fletch and Hargrave, and that front four might be lethal like it hasn't been since the Super Bowl year. They've kind of dropped off since the Super Bowl year. So Jordan Davis and Nakobe Dean, but in a general scheme, the rookies, just those two happen to be the two big ones I'm looking at this year. I'll let you two take some, but I could talk training camp a little more.
Max, what do you look for? What do you focus on when you were reading through these training camp roundups?
So for me, it's usually about how the defense plays, right? Like we've seen a lot of stuff about, Jalen Hurts looking good. And I'm not so much talking about the red zone stuff, right? Because in the red zone, I feel like that does favor the offense. It's a lot of quicker stuff. It's not as much there's a lot less variables usually in the red zone, right? You're either just running or it's a quick throw. For me, it's how like the defense generally performs, right? If you're seeing a lot of reports how in 11-11 your defense is getting beat deep, that to me, that kind of stuff is concerning because initially early on, the defense should have the advantage, right? Like if you're bringing back a full 11 starters on both sides of the ball, the defense should have the advantage early on because defense is a little bit more binary, see ball, tackle ball, stay in front of this man or stay in this zone, right? Like there's a lot less timing involved. and it's usually easier to diagnose plays like early on before the offense can really kind of figure out all the correct timing, and maybe the first couple of times the play goes, quarterback's not getting the right read, that kind of thing, right? It's usually less of a learning curve for defense. So for me, to keep it short and sweet, it's how the defense performs early on. As training camp goes on, you want to hear your offense, getting better. The pendulum kind of shifts. It's defense the first couple of weeks, and then the second half is usually about offense, because your offensive guys aren't playing in games compared to your defensive guys usually. So the second half of training camp is like, all right, how sharp do they look without actually really getting a lot of game time? I don't expect they're going to see Jalen Hurts a ton this preseason. There's only 3 games. I'm sure we'll see him a little bit, but I don't think they will.
I think they won't. It's just so stupid. And this is coming from a young guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is my era of softness that's getting injected, and like, what the hell? Like, if you need Jalen Hurts to play in the preseason, and especially these 58-minute practices, which I don't know, Banners, if you want to get into the 58-minute practices and all that nonsense, go ahead, but take it away.
I only focus on walkthroughs. I don't care.
I love this.
I don't care about anything else. I don't care about putting the pads on, because they're not going to have pads on enough anymore in modern NFL to not make the first 3 to 4 weeks of football be an absolute shit show because nobody can tackle. That's just the modern day we live in. It's going to be slop. I don't care. I don't care what they do when they put pads on, because nowadays anybody has a video camera in their pocket and they're not trying to show. The teams know that anything they put out there, reporters are going to glom onto, and all these new social media accounts, these Eagles insiders, these Eagles fan pages, they don't give a shit about the team. They just want follows. They're going to put everything out there for everybody to see. So they're being very vanilla when they have pads on. I don't care about anything but walkthroughs, because it shows me who's lining up with the 1s and 2s. It shows me part of the scheme. It shows me what they're going to actually do in a 3-4 defense outside of a 4-3 look. It shows me that Nick Sirianni doesn't give a flying fuck about Miles Sanders because he didn't know he was running with the 2s.
Yeah.
It tells me everything that nobody else will at the podium, because the fact that Miles Sanders somehow ended up running with the 2s and they didn't notice, and they had to have a media guy tell Nick Sirianni before he went up to the podium, tells me everything I need to know about the running back room. I don't care what they do in pads. It tells me in walkthroughs, it tells me that Jason Kelce is being a mentor to guys like Jordan Davis on the defensive line. That's what I care about. I don't care about what they're doing in pads, because nobody's going full out in pads. All these stats that receivers are putting up, it's because there are 2 cornerbacks around the receiver that don't touch him and allow him to make the catch. I don't care what people say about training camp stats being important, because they are fictional. They are not real, and they
better be good, I think, is the better way to put it.
If they
like
are
your training camp stats better be good.
Exact. That's a great point, Max. I only care what's in walkthroughs. Nothing else matters. Today's day and age, they probably shouldn't even put pads on, because around the league, there's already been at least a handful of starters that have been knocked out by the first day in pads. I don't care. I only look at walkthroughs, and that's all that matters. So,
2 things. One, the one thing I've seen that has mattered in pads that I loved. AJ Brown and Darius Slay having to be separated day 1, I believe, or day 2. And my buddy was like, "Oh, that's not good. They're gonna be fighting all year." I'm like, "No, man, I love that." Like, if Sirianni preaches competition, you have your guys who are kind of fighting for like the best player on the team, and it's just day 1. You know what I mean? To me, it was like first day at the schoolyard, trying to assert a little dominance, and Darius Slay was like trying to keep him in check or something like that. I love a good competition. They didn't fight, they didn't throw punches, they had to be separated. Like, that's something I like to see. And then 2, the Sanders running back thing was hilarious, especially Nick Sirianni's press conference about it. I don't know if you guys heard, but Miles Sanders is their guy.
I he loves ball. I love ball. We all love ball. So if he loves
Miles
ball that
Sanders
much,
is our guy. I agree.
Like, dude.
But I mean, look, I love it. I think it says to me also, like, the mentality of this team isn't like, oh, we need to see everything that Miles Sanders have. I think the mentality of this team is like, no, we know who Miles Sanders is. We have good 3 running backs, and we're gonna rotate them. Sanders will probably have the most touches, but Gainwell and Boston Scott are going to be rotating in there, and I love it.
They really should have just like I was about to say they should have a script for Nick Sirianni, but like he reminds me of a human version of a golden retriever. Like even if they gave him like a printout, like he wouldn't follow it. Like it's just like he sees people and he just oh man, you guys, I love ball. You guys like talking about ball? Oh man, I might pee myself. Like I might pee myself. Like it's just, dude, calm down.
Him and Topper like couldn't be more opposite. Actually, the more seeing you do that, because I was watching Topper's presser and I was like, I can just tell that guy loves ball, and he couldn't be more opposite of Nick Sirianni.
Yep, Topper's just sitting there, not a care in the world, and Nick Sirianni is bouncing off the walls. Let's see. Last question in the main event. We're talking about the quarterback, the guy in the red jersey. And did you guys, speaking of red jerseys, did you guys see the fight that Josh Allen got into with
no
the Bills D lineman?
D tackles? Yeah,
I didn't see that. No,
it's hilarious.
He was a rookie too. Take some balls to do that to the guy.
I don't think he was a rookie.
Really? I think he's young. Maybe he's not a rookie.
I think it's Jordan. Somebody Phillips. It's not Harrison Phillips because he's on the Vikings after the Bills. I think it's one of their D tackles. He came in and like bumped Josh Allen, and not only did Allen get bumped, but he came back and just started throwing punches and hands in this guy's face, which like all around is not what the Bills front office wanted to see.
Someone's getting cut.
But we're talking about the guy who wears the red jersey for the Eagles. Jalen Hurts needs to play. We're going to do a little bit of fill in the blank here, boys, because we're not doing that for the whole second half. So I'm going to give you something. Jalen Hurts needs to play like blank, another QB comp, okay? So fill in the blank with anybody. Could be, I'll open this up. Future, or not future, obviously. Present or past.
Arch Manning. I would like Arch Manning to be my selection.
Exactly. For the Eagles to be solid contenders. So fill in that blank for me, Max.
This is a good question, Banner. This is a very good question. To be legit Super Bowl contenders, give me a comp to Steve McNair.
Ooh, that's a jump.
Wow.
It doesn't have to be MVP season, Steve, but Steve McNair was a pretty damn good quarterback who he was kind of like McNabb. I wanted to not say McNabb, but he was like McNabb where he relied on the legs a lot early, and he did turn into a pretty damn good passer throughout his career. And, obviously where Steve McNair ended up by the end of his career is maybe not where to expect Jalen Hurts. But I think if he could, mold himself into that kind of player, like we know that Hurts has the work ethic. He's more quiet. He's more humble. He's not like a Lamar Jackson or Michael Vick type mobile quarterback, but obviously the dude has some wheels. There hasn't really been Cam Newton was a better runner, but that's the only one who was really a comparable goal line threat to what Hurts showed us last year. But I think saying Cam Newton would be pretty lofty. Cam Newton, Josh, I saw that look. The Cam Newton we know in 2022 is not the Cam Newton from 2017.
No, I because it is the whole pass thing. It's pretty it's volatile. Like it could be anything. Because you're right. Like what about there's the Cam Newton experience was. I get what you're saying though. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, if the Eagles want to be legit Super Bowl contenders, I think, for the most part, Steve McNair was always more considered more in the 5 to 7 range for quarterbacks of his era. Obviously, he had that one massive year where he split MVP with Peyton Manning. But I think if Jalen Hurts can play like a legit top 5 to 8, 5 to 7, 5 to 8 quarterback, why not? Like, why couldn't this Eagles team make a run? They loaded up at receiver. They have an elite cornerback trio. It looks like the front seven has been much improved, and the makings of a potentially elite defensive line are in place. Like, to me, Jordan Davis is the star of the first handful of days of training camp. Like, I think that the more that we see this guy play in real NFL action, we're going to be like, oh my God, there's no way that we got this dude at 16. Like, it's just not possible.
I'm thinking so too.
And so yeah, that's where I'll leave it at. I think that if Jalen Hurts can be a legit top 5 to 8 quarterback, maybe 5 to 10, depending on how your personal rankings fall, why not the Eagles? The NFC is thin. The NFC is very thin, in my opinion. I think that helps a lot.
Josh, Jalen Hurts needs to play like blank.
Jalen Hurts, and now this is a tough one because I think we forget this guy actually ever played football in the NFL. Jalen Hurts needs to play like Colin Kaepernick, boys. I think.
That's a good one, Josh.
Yeah,
that's a really good one.
Thank you, because I think we, and Cap was a really good quarterback the year his team made the Super Bowl. So maybe not even like Kaepernick's best, like Kaepernick's second best season, even I'll go. Because I do think, Max, I mean, you kind of laid out the groundwork. This team is awesome. Like this team should on paper be one of the most talented best teams. So all I'm saying is play to the skill of Colin Kaepernick, mix in that running, like, you know, Cap kind of got away from it a little bit, but it's plain and simple, man. If you can play like Cap, this team's a Super Bowl contender.
I like
so
that.
I'm going to go realistically. I see for contention, I see Jalen Hurts being close to Dante Culpepper's high with the big arm and the athleticism. But what I'll say is the Atlanta Falcons version of Michael Vick, way more focused on the legs.
Banners, I usually agree with you. I got to say, I'm not feeling either one of those comps.
That's
I'm
fine.
Sorry, brother.
So
that's fine.
Wait, can you guys give me a history lesson? Because for me, with Dante Culpepper, that was right before, that was like right before me. And I only see the Dante Culpepper highlights. What's his deal?
He was really good.
He was huge.
He was really good. He was
a huge body, huge arm quarterback who the only problem was he fumbled a little bit too much. But before he tore his knee up, he was taking a leap by. Yeah, so it's
let me throw this one out because I was thinking about this one earlier before I settled on Cap. What would you say about Dak Prescott?
No.
Would that be enough? If Jalen Hurts plays like Dak Prescott, is that enough for this team to be a real contender?
No.
No? Max? I think it would be.
I think it would be.
Not like Super Bowl, but like I would sign up for, like, if you were like, okay, like if you came up to me right now and said, okay, Jalen Hurts is going to play just like Dak Prescott last year, I'd be like,
if he had the stats of Dak Prescott, if he plays like Dak Prescott, I don't know.
This is the Twilight Zone. I can remember arguments on this show of why Carson Wentz is better than Dak Prescott, and now we're asking Jalen Hurts to just play like Dak Prescott. I feel like I'm living in.
I mean, I hate to say it, but only one quarterback that we've talked about in the last three quarterbacks we've mentioned has started. Well, I guess he was injured for a while, but has started for the same team the last 3 years in a row, and he started for the same team longer than that.
That's wild. I just wanted to comment on that because that's like it's like a.
I know.
I was like a can of worms.
Jesus.
Dark times.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's we'll see. What do you think? So whose prediction would be the most likely outcome here? I think Steve McNair.
That's too good. And I love Hurts. You guys know I love Hurts. Look, I think he's really good. I just
Dak Prescott.
I think it's Dak Prescott, straight up. That's why, because I was thinking Dak Prescott because I think that's the most realistic. But to answer the question, my answer would be Kaepernick. I think it'll look like Dak, though.
Realistically, you need elite quarterback play to call yourself a serious contender, right? Like, it's August 2nd here, people. We're not saying Jalen Hurts is going to be 2015 Colin Kaepernick or 2003 Steve McNair or cover of Madden Dante Culpepper or Atlanta Falcons Michael Vick, right? This is, if Jalen Hurts plays at that level, this team could be a legit Super Bowl contender, and for me, it has to be something that lofty.
It really matters when
you need elite quarterback play.
It matters when you need elite quarterback play, though, because Joe Flacco was not a top 5 quarterback the year the Ravens won. He just went on a freaking heater for a month
against Colin Kaepernick.
But he was still pretty good. It wasn't like Joe Flacco was at least a good enough quarterback where it was in his repertoire. He was battle tested at that point. He had playoff wins. That was not a total aberration in my mind. Sure, Joe Flacco was never like a sexy fantasy quarterback or anything, but Joe Flacco was experienced. He was accurate when it mattered. And that's me. That was the only thing that stuck out to me about Flacco. He was very accurate. He always could get, the right throw, like it was, or the right pass interference. Obviously, his signature move is the 50-yard pass interference on the go route.
I'm anti Joe Flacco, but let's not forget people said he was elite at one point. I was not one of those people, but people did make arguments that he was elite. So I
for a couple of years, Joe Flacco was at least a top 10 quarterback.
At least.
And that's what I mean. If Hurts is like solidly in that top 10, not like the flashiest guy to watch, or he's just floating around near the bottom, near that 7 to 10 range. Like, why couldn't this Eagles roster compete?
I'm with you.
All right, boys, let's do our second half, and our second half is going to be crystal ball. So we're going to look ahead into the future, and our first one for you guys is the Juan Soto trade. So, man, Juan Soto and Josh Bell to the Padres, who are currently in the first wild card spot in the NL for San Diego's 1, 3, and 15th best prospect, along with CJ Abrams and Mackenzie Gore, who were top prospects, but who have graduated, who exhausted their eligibility. So how does this trade affect the NL? And how does it play out for both teams in 5 years? All right. So give me the this year effect and the long-term 5-year effect, Max.
I think that this makes the Padres it's hard to say a team that can compete in talent level with the Dodgers, right? Like the Dodgers are a legit video game fantasy roster, almost for the most part.
They're an all-star roster.
But I mean, having Manny Machado and Soto in the same lineup is like, I mean, that's probably the best 1-2. Like, I think that's better than any two hitters the Dodgers could put back to back.
Jr. Also.
And Fernando Tatis, exactly. Excuse me. So
coming soon. No, he hasn't played all year.
He's not. That's exactly. That's why I'm not thinking about him. But like even right now, I think they're the best two batters you could face in a row on a single team. And I'll include Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout in that. And I think that adding Tatis to the equation, I think that just I think the gap between those two and Trout and Ohtani is like this. But when you add Tatis in that, like the gap between those three and the next best three on a single lineup is massive. It's enormous. So I don't know if this will be the year Tatis is going to be asked to do a lot, and I don't know if his body will be able to handle it, given that we have 50 games left in the regular season. He's nowhere close to returning, as far as I'm aware.
He's getting closer. He's actually been taking reps in the outfield to decrease the wear on his body.
Okay, that's good to know. But it feels like it's maybe too much for this year. But I would be genuinely shocked if this Padres team doesn't get a World Series in the next 5 years. I hate to say it, but I'd be very surprised.
I'd be surprised too, man. So
as for the Nationals, I mean, they already got the ring. Who cares? The Nationals were pretty much the epitome of mediocrity since relocating, and I think they're okay with going back to that situation. They got banners fly forever. Juan Soto, thanks for the memories, buddy.
Josh, what do you think?
So I mean, the Padres for this year, instead of you leave high school, you go to college, and then you see this kid and he's like huge all of a sudden. You know what I mean? The Padres did that in one winter break, pretty much, with this Juan Soto move, in my opinion. Like all of a sudden they went from this oh, that's kind of cute. You guys are making a nice run. LOL, call me when Tatis is back. And now they just added Juan Soto. It went from it being okay, Dodgers, Yankees, Astros. You got to talk about the Padres now. Even if they just win the wild card, you got to talk about the Padres for the World Series this season now. Because you look at their pitching as well. Pitching, bullpen, they got Hader. Oh, my God. 5 years? Max, I'm with you. They're too big to fail. I feel take one of our favorite economic terms here. The Padres are now too big to fail. You got Soto. You got Tatis, the youth movement. You got the experience of Machado. Banners, I don't know why you're not sold. And then they also got pitching out the wazoo even after getting rid of Mackenzie Gore. Earlier today, I was pretty mad at the Nationals. Something about the trade just didn't sit well with me. It just felt weird. Not even a little. As a slight to the sport of baseball for some reason. I just something about it was icky, yeah. But I don't know. Now that I'm thinking about it, they got a pretty good haul. Mackenzie Gore's looking like a stud. CJ Abrams and these prospects are supposed to be good. It just seemed like a nice way for the Nationals to replace 5 minor holes by giving away one huge thing. So all in all, I'm glad it happened. You know what I mean? And like I said earlier, I'm glad he's not in the NL East anymore. Biggest of all, glad he's not in the NL East anymore.
True.
I think this is a 60% chance to be one of the most epic collapses ever. And I'm so here for it. All right. Yes, Josh Hader made your bullpen a lot better. But they got rid of Taylor Rogers to do it. Joe Musgrove is their ace, who before this year had never pitched like an ace. He's only doing it this year.
Clev's pitching
Clev's
pitching well. Clev's pitching real well.
Yeah, but how much can I really count on Mike Clevenger and Blake Snell and Yu Darvish? These are
Blake Snell really good, or
he used to be these are all names. These are all names that are
I know he's a name. Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, these are all names that are frontline starters 4 years ago, and then Joe Musgrove is your new $200 million ace. It's just this is set up to be like, oh, we should have had a ring for 3 years, but now we got to sell off pieces and try and rebuild around Tatis and Soto, who are making almost $1 billion between the two of them. So
True.
Sure. Do I want that? Like, do I think on paper this is the best lineup in baseball? Probably. I mean, you got Josh Bell as the number 5 hitter behind.
Yeah, I was going to say Josh Bell is no just an add-in piece. Like maybe I'm jaded as a Phillies fan.
No, Josh Bell is a great hitter.
That's what I mean. Yeah. He seems like he's a really good player, and he absolutely destroys the Phillies whenever we play.
Yep. No, Josh Bell is. I mean, that's another boon for the Phillies. But Josh Bell is now your first baseman. They'd sent Hosmer to Boston.
Dude, they picked up Brandon Drury quietly also, who's having one of those weird seasons where he's just playing well after
but like
it's bad every other year.
It's 6 years past time to get excited about Brandon Drury. You know what I mean? Like, sure, do I think this is an amazing lineup on paper? Yeah, but do I think this has like hilarity? Like there's a better than 0 chance this turns out to be like this is what if I told you? You know what I mean? Like what if I told you a team had Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, and Manny Machado and didn't win a ring before they paid $1 billion to 2 players.
I feel like the Nationals, I feel like the way that the Nationals won the World Series a few years ago, like broke our thinking about the playoffs. I get what you're saying, Banners, about the pitching, but like, I don't know, man, like the pitching's still good, right? It's not, no one's going to say it's the best rotation in baseball. No one's going to say it's a top 3 rotation in baseball, but like, it's not a bad rotation. Like, I just think maybe we get so fixated on having the 2 aces that can shut down anyone when the Padres are like, no, we're just going to mash 1 through 9.
Yeah, we'll just score
and have really good pitching and a really good bullpen. Like, I just think they're too big to fail. And let's not forget, they got, what's that guy? Morajan. He's young. You know what I mean? Like, they didn't mortgage everything away. 5 years max. I co-sign it. They'll win at least 1 in 5 years.
5 years. I don't think they win any. 5 years. I think that
you'll make a 5-year bet on it.
All right.
Yeah, sure. I'll put 5 on it.
Let's remind
I think there is no longer any fans of the Washington Nationals. I think they're going to come back in 5 years when all of these prospects are up and actually playing well.
I hope they support the Orioles.
I hope they do anything but support whatever is going on in that Nationals front office, because that's some Mickey Mouse shit from an organization who, dude, like that World Series parade seems like a different lifetime ago. Juan Soto should have gone down in the Washington, D.C. sports like picture like Alex Ovechkin. That is a top 3 player in baseball at less than 23 years old. Like that is, there's no way in hell an organization, he still has cheap years on his deal. There's no way you can call yourself a competent MLB front office and look at me and with 2 or maybe 3 years left on a deal of Juan Soto, tell me you can't build a contender around him.
You're not even going to try.
That's Mickey Mouse horseshit, dude. Like you shouldn't have a job. You shouldn't have a job. If you have Juan Soto on a freaking rookie deal for 3 years and you can't do anything, I'm sorry, dude. That's your like walking papers right there. That is, you should not have a job. That's horseshit. Like that's I'll never. I think that's unbelievable. I think it's incredible.
They already won a World Series with him.
It's malpractice, dude. It really is.
Yeah, like you could have pivoted. You could have pivoted like any other direction after that.
Any other way. You could even have started rebuild this year, and it still would have probably worked out. Like it's malpractice.
I won't disagree. I don't know any better. So,
all right, 2022 NFL sleeper. All right, 2022 NFL sleeper, and we're gonna get to a different kind of sleeper afterwards. But just your general football sleeper here, boys. Josh,
NFL quarterback sleeper for this season. Am I allowed to say Jalen Hurts? No, I won't.
So what are we doing? So I got 2 on the
I
script.
think we're skipping
here.
I got the team one. We'll save the team.
My bad, guys.
Yeah. So we're doing team first, and then we'll go into fantasy.
We're going quarterback. We're going quarterback sleepers. We'll save the team for a big preview.
Yeah,
and damn it, I'm hungry.
All right, that's on. Yeah, you're right. That's on me. That was in pre-pro. I'm sorry.
You're good, man. I'll start off anyway.
Leave this in.
Sleeper quarterback. All right. I want to do 2 because they're both really bad. Like they're so sleepers. But you know what? I'll take one. I'll take the easier one.
Wait, hold on before you go. Okay, I was going to say, is this in the context of fantasy or just like
fantasy sleeper quarterback?
Yep.
Trevor Lawrence, because I think the Jacksonville Jaguars with Doug Peterson, I think their season is going to be so simple. Last year was
I don't
weird
know
with
if I
Urban
allow
Meyer.
this. I don't know if I allow this.
What do you not allow?
I don't allow that as a sleeper.
You're saying that's not okay? Fine.
I don't know if I allow that as a sleeper.
I wanted him to go deeper. Okay. I was going to use Trevor Lawrence as my sleeper.
I'll go even deeper. And you know what? I'll preface this by saying this is a don't even draft him sleeper. This is a waiver wire. Your quarterback has a bye week. Davis Mills.
Yep.
I love that.
I kind of love Davis Mills. I was trying to find a comp for Davis Mills. I'm like, Davis Mills, I think, is going to be like the next Ryan Fitzpatrick, where he's going to stay in the league.
Okay.
He's going to stay in the league for like 10 years as the 28th best quarterback like every year. But he can get the job done, and he might surprise you and put up some numbers week to week. So that's my if you won't let me say Trevor Lawrence is a sleeper, and I thought that was
I feel like that's a bit harsh if I'm being honest.
Davis Mills is my answer. So you know what? The bar is set very high. Take it away.
Max, dig deep. You're a fantasy sleeper.
Okay. This one's a little gross here, boys. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, don't.
But given the state of their team, the Atlanta Falcons do not posture to be very competitive in a lot of games. And what does that usually mean? It usually means you're going to be throwing a lot. And Marcus Mariota has some interesting weapons. He has two weapons that I'm really interested in.
Not even Ritter.
And I really love Drake London. I really do. I'll say this. The Falcons, I don't expect to win more than 4, maybe 5 games this year. There are going to be some weeks where Mariota absolutely busts. But if the Falcons are able to stay competitive in games, Mariota is going to use his legs. He has a lot of built-in rushing upside. And he's going to have a very, in my opinion, between those two and Cordero Patterson, who's one of the best receiving running backs in the league. I think you could do worse, if I'm being totally honest here.
But me and Banners are on the same page there. I thought you were going to say they were going to say F it Ritter season.
But no. He's not going to see the field this year, barring injury.
I love that.
And you know what? If Mariota is that bad, I stick to that same sentiment with Ritter. Ritter is more of a thrower, but he's run when he needs to in college. I think the weapons are there in Atlanta, and I think that it just projects for a lot of pass attempts. I think that the Falcons are just not really built to win, and Mario's going to have. I think the Falcons are going to be a really good garbage time team this year. Is maybe the best way to put it, and I think that that factors into fantasy. That all adds up.
Do I do it? Yeah,
man. I just did Marcus Mariota. You have to do it.
I'm going to go Carson Wentz, boys.
Oh, see, that's foul. That's foul. You can't call Trevor Lawrence not a sleeper and pull the Carson Wentz card.
Okay. All right, then let's go deeper.
No, I think they should both stand. I'm just saying. I think that Carson Wentz is a great choice for a sleeper, but I think Trevor Lawrence.
I do not think Carson.
Well, I think everybody's still high on Trevor Lawrence, which is like everybody's like, all right, so he actually gets a very good like offensive mind with Doug Peterson, which is why I kind of ruled him out. Sleeper. I'll go Justin Fields.
That's where I was also thinking.
I'll go Justin Fields.
I'm going to disagree with you guys that
in
one.
An absolute teardown. In an absolute teardown of the Chicago Bears, which is hilarious, by the way. I think Justin Fields still has the talent. I don't know if he's going to get many. I don't know if he's going to get many rushing or throwing yards because I mean, people in Chicago like to think that Mooney is the real deal, and sure he might be, but he's definitely not a valid wide receiver one. And even if he was, I'm not sure Justin Fields is ready to know what to do with the wide receiver one. But that offensive line is it's malpractice.
Banners, I was going to say, I thought about Justin Fields. He's a guy who could get you like a -6 1 week.
There's going to be weeks where you should not start Justin Fields, but there's going to be weeks where he rushes for 3 touchdowns and throws for 1. So, he's basically I didn't want to go Trey Lance as a sleeper.
He sucks.
We don't know.
I think he sucks. That's all right.
We're out on Trey Lance.
Word on the street is the Niners. People are saying the Niners are liking Jimmy G pretty good right about now.
What a day. Could I have gone Matt Corral?
Too bad. He's too bad.
Banners, that absolutely would count for a sleeper.
No, he's a coma. Like, forget about sleeper.
He's impressing in Carolina Panthers training camp
I'll be shocked.
for whatever that means.
I'll be shocked.
Dude, if Baker
Outperforming
Mayfield
two number
and
one
Sam
overall
Darnold-
picks, that's
if
impressive.
Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold get beat out by Matt Corral, like, what do we do with that?
That's the most awkward quarterback room in the league, I think.
It's so weird.
Awkward.
It's so weird. It's so weird. That's going to be it for us. That's our crystal ball. We're looking forward. So, we got some tape to check in at least 5 years for this Padres thing. But looks like we got tape to check for this season, too, in fantasy. Who's got a tap out? I know I don't off the top of my head.
I'll just go like real quick because I'm a TV show guy, I'm a movie guy. I literally I've seen memes about this show for 3 years, so I assumed it was bad. If there's a company that markets a lot and does it with memes, I automatically am out. But I tried The Boys. I started watching.
No
The Boys.
spoils. I'm literally going to start it tonight. I'm not even joking.
So then we've been seeing the same memes. The marketing worked. They make memes. They got so much marketing. I was like, that can't be a good product. I watched 4 straight episodes last night, guys. I am hooked. I am in. Max, I co-sign it. Go ahead. Start it tonight. Start it as soon as you can.
If you haven't watched Invincible as well, also on Prime.
The movie?
No, it's it's a TV show.
Not about Vince Papale.
Not about Vince Papale.
God.
Vince Papale. No, it's not about Vince. Max, you got a tap out?
Not really.
Go Phils.
Yeah, go Phils.
Are we winning?
I haven't checked the score yet.
The Phillies are somehow up 1-0 on a scheduled loss.
Let's go,
Let's
boys.
go.
Bullpen game. So what? Bullpen games mean nothing anymore with Nick
Bullpen
Nelson
game,
on the mound.
schmullpen game.
Let's go. All right, that's going to be it here for us on Trust the Process. If you weren't here with us live, you know where to find us wherever you get your podcasts. We'll be back next week with a little bit more in terms of football content. But, of course, today with the trade deadline being what it was, we had to talk all things Phillies. So we'll catch you next week, Philadelphia. As always, we are brought to you by My New Philly, where something's always new.
Everything's
Everything's always Philly.
Always Philly.
We'll see ya.